Hello everyone, on today's episode we have a mega pink nest and also the Formica Rufa. Let's start things off with the pink nest. It all started around Valentine's Day when I spotted this limited edition pink nest from Antiques. I'm already a big fan of the Popeths and to get a pink one just seemed an unmissable opportunity, so I jumped on it. I had to be quick as well because they weren't available for very long. I managed to get mine just after Valentine's Day. After about 20 minutes of construction though, I was left with this beautiful pink nest. I'd gone for the black acrylic floor because I quite like it. It makes a change from the white floor. I was very happy with how it turned out though. As always, I'm a big fan of the little grommets for the bolts. It makes putting them in so easy. There is a little gap above the joint as well, but it doesn't actually affect the functionality. With the colour also came a special handle. I didn't know it had it until I put it together, but it's a nice little touch. After constructing the Popeth, I had to decide what ant to put inside. After much deliberation, I decided to go with the Formica Rufa colony. I was going to go with my Lasius flavus colony, however they're so small I don't think they'd really use it. The Formica Rufa, however, were definitely in need of an upgrade. Their tubes were getting really grubby, and there's quite a lot of mites in them now. These girls do seem to be a little bit grubby, but it doesn't seem to be holding them back, as under the queen is a little pile of brood. As a final touch to the nest as well, I wanted to put 3 tubes on it instead of 2 in the end, so I whacked on the other tube bit. Then I could have 2 water tubes and 1 ant tube. I'm hoping as well that maybe they'll move into one of the other tubes as well, so I can get the manky grubby one out of the way. All that was left before connecting the Rufa was to add the final touches. A nice bowl of mealworms and sugar water, and also an oil barrier on top. Normally I use PTFE, but I didn't want to crack the nice acrylic. It was all ready to go though. All I had to do now was get the tube linked up to them. It was actually quite hard, and getting them off of the cotton at the end was impossible in the end, so I gave up and just dumped it in. They seemed to fully embrace their new setup though, and were stamping around the place like they owned it in no time at all. With more space, I was hoping that I'd catch these girls feeding. However, I think they had other ideas. I waited around for about 10 minutes though, and they didn't touch the food. I don't think they have enough brood really to be that hungry, and they're well fed anyway. Eventually I decided to go shopping, and I was hoping that when I'd come back they'd all be crowded around the sugar or eating a bit of the mealworm. However, nothing happened. It was a little bit of a letdown, as I dreamed of them flying out the test tube and munching all the food down. But yeah, what can you do? They weren't hungry. What can you do, I thought. I looked into the Formica Fusca and spotted they had a nice pile of brood on top of the tower. Picked up the Pupae and slurped up about 30 cocoons and 2 workers which I had to separate out. But I was left with this. If they don't want food, maybe they want some cocoons. The poor girl in the outworld didn't have a clue what was going on. She had a good sniff around though, and I was expecting her to start picking up the cocoons and running them back to the queen. However, she had no inclination to do this. In the end, she just walked back. I started a time lapse expecting them to collect all the pupae, however they only collected 1 larvae and 1 pupae in the end. I looked in the tube as well and got a little bit worried. The queen seems to be eating something, and I'm a little bit suspicious that maybe the larvae which the girls took in is now being eaten by the Formica Rufa queen. I really hope not, but the queen gets what she wants. In the end, I decided to stick them in the incubator again and leave them for a few hours. In the dark, I thought they might get to work a little bit better. And they did. A couple hours later when I looked in, there were no cocoons in the outworld. There was now a hench pile though, in the tubes. Exactly where it should be. Check this out as well, this new lens is insane. I was there filming the ants and like I'm miles away. This is like a good 30 centimeters away from the ants. I'm going to try and do a more macro lens focused video soon, so keep an eye out if you want to know more. I was very happy with how the tube looked now though. Hopefully the extra brood will get things going a little bit faster. The pink also makes my camera glitch sometimes, and I think it looks pretty good. But it totally does not like the pink when I'm kind of zoomed in. See how washed out it is. Here's another clip from that big zoom lens as well. I've been really impressed by it so far. It's quite hard to use though. It's really good for spotting mites though. I'm not sure why, but I've managed to spot so many mites when I'm using it. It probably helps that this test tube is also packed full of mites, so yeah, there's more of them to see. I'm quite hopeful though that in the next month this colony should be quite a nice size, and they'll have the ability to really push the brood production into overdrive. It would be a real dream come true to have a large Rufa colony, so I've got my fingers crossed. Anyway, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Until next time, have a fabulous week, may your ants live long and prosper, and bye!